On the other hand, of course, he's going to give you the Victoria Cross when he lifts up your frock on the wedding night and finds himself looking at the last turkey in the shop.
Welcome to episode 16 of the Blackadder podcast, where I think a few people might be looking at the last turkey in the shop.
Longingly.
Possibly.
Who can say?
Not me. How are you?
I'm not too bad, Gerry. How are you?
Good, good. Fun episode?
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favourite of the season, but it's a good one.
Not your favourite overall, or of the run that we have had?
No, of Blackadder Goes Forth overall.
Okay,
It's to come. You feeling festive?
Getting there.
A couple of weeks to go. Less than a couple of weeks.
Santa's on his way.
Yeah.
I can hear his little elves.
It's a bit creepy, isn't it, when you think Santa knows what you're doing all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen too much.
He would be repulsed.
Speak for yourself.
I've seen only some of the things that you do, and I'm repulsed.
The less said about that, the better.
Before we start, anything you want to say, anything you want to cover? Any points of trivia, points of note, any other business?
I don't think so. I think this episode stands for itself. Let's just get on with it.
Do you have a summary prepared? If so, can you crack on?
In Major Star, Blackadder turns theatre producer as he stages a cabaret show he believes could be his ticket out of France and back safely to London. Things take an unexpected twist when General Melchett falls head over heels for George in drag and proposes marriage. With the wedding just days away, can Blackadder find a way out of a sticky situation, or is the General in for a big surprise?
Thanks, Ian, you little tramp.
Harsh.
We begin, as always, mostly, in the trench, and the high-spirited George is polishing his bat, as Blackadder explains that not only is he cheesed off, he has moved from the cheese onto the coffee and cigars and is now in a cab to the Pink Pussycat.
Yes, he's had a long war, we could say.
You could say that. It sort of underplays the horrors that they went through. He's had a long war. It's like it's been a long day. It's a tough drive home.
It's been tough, yeah.
Yeah, get caught up in some traffic in the commute.
It's the same sort of thing. I mean, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this.
To paraphrase Adam Kloss from Jonathan Creek, yeah. So George suggests that perhaps a Charlie Chaplin film might cheer him up, but Blackadder is not a fan.
No, not at all. In fact, he despises Charlie Chaplin and finds him in no way funny.
Correct. He disagrees with both George and Baldrick. They think he is a genius.
Yeah, Baldrick thinks he's as funny as a vegetable that's grown into an amusing shape.
Quite funny.
Yeah.
Depends how amusing and how shapely.
Yes, I mean, I would maybe agree with Baldrick, but it depends how funny you find those vegetables.
Blackadder goes on to give an example, a demonstration of Chaplin's comedy. What does he do?
Yes, he demonstrates on Baldrick some of Chaplin's signature moves.
What are they?
Basically, a boot up the backside.
Twice.
Yes. Baldrick, of course, is offended by this.
Why?
Well, because he and the others of his class are on the verge of revolution.
He thinks that Blackadder has just demonstrated a bourgeois act of repression.
Yes. There's something afoot in the wind. Been sopping the milk of freedom, he says.
Yeah, he says this as he stares into the middle distance. All very deep.
Yes, but Blackadder's got the perfect riposte.
What's that?
He sends him to clean the toilets.
I think firstly he questions whether or not he's been on the diesel again.
Yeah, he does.
Baldrick leaves, but George keeps up his defence of Chaplin, claiming that it is in the great tradition of British music hall.
It is, and Blackadder is not that impressed by Great British Music Hall tradition, is he?
That's not surprising.
Well, he defines it as two men with incredibly unconvincing Cockney accents going, "What's up with you then? What's up with me then? Yeah, what's up with you then? Get on with it." But this has George delighted.
Yes.
He thinks it's a fantastic show. He wants to pay more to see this.
Blackadder would rather have his tongue beaten wafer thin and then stapled to the ground with a croquet hoop than have to watch that sort of stuff.
It's imaginative but painful sounding.
Now, at this point, Baldrick bursts back in with some news. Apparently, the Russian Revolution has started and they have pulled out of the war.
Yes.
Now, George has to be told that this is not good news.
Well, he thinks that they've taught the Russians a lesson.
Blackadder has to point out they're on the same side.
They are. At this point, Blackadder's a little bit morose.
Yeah, he realises the significance.
Yeah, because the troops that were at the Eastern Front are very shortly going to be making their way to the Western Front where they're stationed, and it might get a bit unpleasant.
Certainly.
Or a bit more unpleasant, maybe fair to say.
So what does Blackadder decide to do immediately?
Desert.
Yes, he does. He's about to leave the trenches, but just as he is doing this, who enters?
Melchett.
He does. He is there to tell them that he intends to put on a concert party in order to boost the morale of the men. And he agrees that Blackadder does not seem the type to be involved in such a thing.
I think that's probably fair enough.
Yeah, although he does claim that Blackadder is a tough, grizzled soldier. I don't think that's fair enough.
No, that's probably not, but I don't think that Melchett's a particularly astute leader.
No. But Blackadder's attitude changes. Why?
Well, Melchett points out that this show that he wants to put on will raise morale, it'll undercut the Bolshevik notions in the masses, but that raised morale will be further boosted if the show succeeds in London.
Correct, and at this, Blackadder realises that there may be a way out of the trenches.
Melchett's got a few test questions that he wants to ask prospective producers for the show.
Now, the thing is, Blackadder, finding a man to organise a concert party is going to be damn difficult. So I've come up with rather a cunning set of questions with which to test a candidate's suitability for the job.
Oh, and what sort of questions would these be, sir?
Well, the first question is, do you like Charlie Chaplin?
Dismiss, Lieutenant. Do you like Charlie Chaplin? Yes, that is a good question for a candidate. To which my answer would, of course, be, yes, I love him. Love him, sir. Particularly the amusing kicks.
That's funny, sir, because I thought you said that...
Goodbye, George.
And the second question is, do you like music hall?
Ah, yes, another good question, sir. Again, my answer would have to be yes, absolutely love it. Oops, Mr. Rothschild, how your apples and pears.
Yes. Well, you see, it's my view, Blackadder, that the kind of person who would answer yes to both of those questions would be ideal for the job. Wait a minute.
What, sir?
Why, without knowing it, Blackadder, you've inadvertently shown me that you could do the job.
Have I, sir?
Yes, sir. You have, sir. And I want you to start work straight away. A couple of shows over the weekend, and if all goes well, we'll start you off in London next Monday.
Oh, damn.
If you need any help fetching and carrying and backstage and so on, I'll lend you my driver, if you like. Bob!
Thinking about this is the second occasion following the artist job earlier, where Blackadder's essentially undercut George's path out of the trenches. Someone like George with his privileged background, you know, maybe it wouldn't be unexpected if he found a way, even without knowing it, to safety or to a safer location. But his opportunities have been snatched from him.
Well, in this case, he would be part of the troop going to London. So
similarly, he was involved in the art thing, but you can imagine how someone like that might have been able to spirit themselves away with Blackadder and Baldrick and so on being left behind in real life.
Without a doubt. So we heard Bob being mentioned there, and Bob, and a familiar face appears.
Yes, Bob.
People
remember, Bells in Blackadder 2, the first episode of the Blackadder podcast. We looked at this one.
She enters, or he enters, and Blackadder claims it's an unusual name for a girl.
Yes, Melchett's outraged.
Well, he agrees.
He agrees it would be an outrageous name for a girl, but it's not a girl, so what are you talking about?
He instructs Bob to bunk up with Blackadder and says that he has a splendid sense of humour. Now, an incredulous Blackadder responds to this quite appropriately.
He. Yeah, double meaning, hilarious.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good line. And Melchett points out that, you see, Blackadder is laughing already. Bob is then informed that Blackadder apparently has a good line in rough shag.
He'd be happy to fill his pipe.
And Melchett leaves. So Blackadder rhetorically questions the sex of Bob, who initially tries to keep up the pretense by claiming to understand cricket and what?
Farting in bed, of course. It's a habit that she has mastered. He has mastered. Who can say which?
I certainly don't.
No, me neither. Would be offensive. At this point, Blackadder's not wanting to really get dragged down into the discussion any longer.
No, I think he says that her disguise is as convincing as a giraffe in dark glasses trying to get into a polar bear's only golf club.
But Bob's concerned. She doesn't want to be given away. Bob wants to be like her brothers who have joined up. She wants to see how a war is fought so badly.
And how does Blackadder respond?
Well, he thinks she's come to the right place because a war hasn't been fought this badly since a Viking chief had his horns in the inside of his helmet.
She then goes on to say that she wants to do her bit for the boys and will do anything. And I think Blackadder is correct in advising her to keep that one quiet.
Just keep it under our hat, yes. We skip forward a little bit. And Edmund and Bob are going over the concert schedule, the second half, I think.
Yes, Baldric is watching on as we find out one of the acts is called the Three Silly Twerps.
And the punchline being there's only two of them.
Baldric then shows off his act. What is it?
It's an impression of Charlie Chaplin.
I thought it was quite good.
Wasn't too bad.
I think he captures the essence of him. You know, he puts on the bowler hat and squints his face.
That's about it, isn't there?
You would know if that, I think you would recognise that straight away.
Definitely.
It's a bit like there are certain things that have become iconic. So you'd only have to see an outline of a quiff and you think it's Elvis. The big, round black ears would be Mickey Mouse.
Yes, and the silhouette of Alfred Hitchcock.
Of course. So I think that Baldric does a good job here.
Yeah, no, I agree.
However, Blackadder does not agree and tells Bob to send a telegram to Chaplin informing him that he has found the only person in the world less funny than him. Stop.
Yes.
And to please
stop. They move on to the highlight of the show, the finale.
Yes, the gorgeous Georgina, who Baldric claims looks lovely.
Well, Blackadder's not convinced. He thinks Baldric's either blind or mad.
Yes. He says that he looks like all soldiers in these situations, as feminine as W.G. Grace.
Cricketer.
Yes, I think he had a massive beard and quite a big guy.
George is going to give the audience a couple of cheeky gags and follow it with the ironmonger's daughter.
Yes, tell me about the ironmonger's daughter.
Well, she was only the ironmonger's daughter, but she knew a surprising amount about fish as well.
Yeah, I think you can read into that what you wish.
Indeed, and no doubt you will.
A dismayed Blackadder then asks Baldric about his costume and is told that it consists of the bowler hat that he is wearing and...
He's got a slug.
Yeah, a dead slug, apparently.
It's going to be a false moustache.
Yes. Now, with regards to keeping it on his face, George offers advice as he realises that slugs are always a problem.
Baldric's original plan of convincing it to stick there by itself.
Yeah, but it's dead.
It's not going to come to any sort of fruition. But after George's advice, he presents himself to Blackadder in full costume.
Yes. And is greeted by a sarcastic pretense of belief, normally only found when speaking to toddlers. I've had to put this act on myself when one of the kids comes in wearing my boy does it quite a lot, he'll put on his Batman costume and he comes into the living room and I've got to shout on him, come here, Batman's here, quick, come and see. And then he lifts up his mask.
Yeah, or if your kid hides somewhere you can easily see them.
Yeah.
Put their head under a pillow and thinks you can't see where they're hiding. Where's he gone? I can't see him anywhere.
George is also fooled by Blackadder's response, who then tells him that everything goes above his head and advises what?
You should go to Jamaica and become a limbo dancer.
Where are we next?
We've reached the end of the concert, so we've skipped ahead to the first gala performance, and it's been a massive success.
Looks like it. George is taking bows and the applause and flowers from a delighted audience, and backstage we see Blackadder admit he is now the most successful impresario
since the manager of the Roman Colosseum, who decided to put the lions and the Christians on the same bill.
Baldrick suggests that his act may have been the best, but Blackadder wonderfully tells him that there are tribes in the Amazonian jungle, I think he says, as yet untouched by civilization, who have mastered better chaplain performances.
It's a bit unfortunate. Baldrick takes it as a compliment.
Now, just as with the painting that you referenced earlier, George has really taken to this and is comfortable with the whole business. He gets really into it.
Yeah, he needs the applause in the same way that an Osler needs his ossel.
He's becoming a bit of a diva. A lovey.
Completely. Baldrick struggles a bit with putting the flowers in water, though.
Yeah, what does he do?
He dunks them in the vase upside down.
And then fishing for compliments, George states that he was awful. And Blackadder is happy to agree. He thinks that Tarzan was more convincing when he went through Jane's handbag and ate her lipstick.
But he admits that he's clearly in the minority given the reaction of the crowd, so let's head to London.
Of course. Before we go to London, they have to go to headquarters, where Darling has a little dig at him. He says that he had a wonderful evening. He didn't go to the show, but 2 lorry loads of paperclips had arrived.
Yes. I think part of that is Blackadder digging back by saying that's the kind of thing that Darling gets excited about.
Yeah. Melchett then enters to offer his congratulations. But he says it was mostly awful, though he did enjoy the slug balancer.
I mean, this scene, we've talked about this before, about Stephen Fry is the best part of this series. And once again, in this scene, Melchett is fantastic.
Yes, he is. He's brilliant. So he has the travel arrangements for Blackadder, including rooms at the Ritz, but does have a request.
Yes, he wants to escort the leading lady to the regimental ball that evening.
Now, Blackadder initially assumes that he is joking, but is forced to accept it when threatened with being replaced.
Yes, a director who will allow Melchett's advances.
So he insists on no hanky-panky, although Melchett suggests that Georgina is a girl with more spunk than most and can be trusted.
Yeah.
So we head back to the trench.
Yes, George is not keen on the idea, but is persuaded immediately by the prospect of replacement to go along with Melchett's plan.
Yes.
Essentially the same
Threat.
Yes.
Yeah. Blackadder then explains the 3 rules required to keep up at this pretense. What are they?
Well, never remove your wig, never say anything,
Sensible.
and don't get drunk and let him shag you in the veranda.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
Back to headquarters, where we witness Darling helping Melchett get ready for his big night.
How do I look, darling?
Girl bait, sir. Pure bloody girl bait.
Moustache? Bushy enough?
Like a privet head, sir.
Good, because I want to catch a particularly beautiful creature in this bush tonight.
I'm sure you'll be combing women out of your moustache for weeks, sir.
God, it's a spankingly beautiful world, and tonight's my night. I know exactly what I'll say to her. Darling.
Yes, sir? I don't know, sir.
Well, then butt in. I want to make you happy, darling.
Well, that's very kind of you, sir.
Will you kindly stop interrupting? If you don't listen, how can you tell me what you think? I want to make you happy, darling. I want to build a nest for your 10 tiny toes. I want to cover every inch of your gorgeous body in pepper and then sneeze all over you.
Really, sir? I must protest.
What is the matter with you, darling?
Well, it's just all so sudden, sir. I mean, the nest bit's fine, but the pepper business is definitely out.
How dare you tell me how I may or may not treat my beloved Georgina?
Georgina?
Yes. I'm working out what I want to say to her this evening.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank God.
All right?
Yes, sir, listening, sir.
Honestly, darling, you really are the most graceless, dim-witted bumpkin I ever met.
I don't think you should say that to us.
There is a touch of the Burns and Smithers between those two, I thought, especially in that scene.
A little bit, yeah.
That sort of latent homosexuality.
Unrequited affection.
It's 3 a.m. and Blackadder is pacing impatiently, awaiting Georgina's return. Now, she swoons in a love daze, but I thought this was a great performance by Laurie.
Yeah, definitely. Convincing.
Very.
The promise of indiscretion ever hanging in the air.
We find out that George happens to be the General's perfect woman.
Yes, they talked about everything: the war, marriage, proposed changes of the LBW rule.
And Blackadder claims at least a proposal of marriage wasn't offered.
He very quickly realises it was.
Yes, a coquettish George responds by, I think, nibbling on some flowers.
And when Blackadder asks how he got out of that one, George is not able to tell him.
No, he get caught up in the candles and the music and the huge moustache and accepted this offer. He says he didn't want to refuse as he could have been court-martialed, and I think we heard Blackadder's response at the top of the podcast.
We did. And then we hear about the nickname.
Which is?
Chipmunk.
This is sending Blackadder over the edge. He realises the very sticky predicament that they are in. And he understands that if Melchett ever finds out the truth, they are likely to be executed.
Yeah, not just George, all of them.
So it's serious business.
Melchett phones.
He does, ordering Blackadder to headquarters. And what does he say before he leaves?
He says that if he should die, think this of me, I'll be back to get you.
Over at headquarters, Blackadder enters and immediately claims that he can explain. He thinks he's in trouble.
Yes, but he's not.
No. Melchett asks him if he can explain. And when Blackadder says no,
he's not surprised, because who can explain the mysteries of love?
He then shocks Blackadder and upsets Darling by saying that he is going to marry Georgina on Saturday and wants Blackadder to be his best man.
Tim McInerney doesn't get a lot of luck with the best man stakes in this show.
No, I think this must be a reference back to season 2.
Not quite as brutal, but
no.
Yeah.
Blackadder tells him that it would not be a good idea, as there is something wrong with his fiancée.
And Melchett thinks immediately of the worst thing that could possibly be.
What's that?
She's not Welsh, is she? That would have been one to go with. Why did he not just say yes?
Blackadder says no, and tells a tale about Georgina arriving back in the trench, dancing in a happy daze, and where did she end up?
No man's land.
What happened?
She trod not only on a mine,
A sort of cluster.
but a cluster of mines, and was blown to smithereens.
Yeah, she shot up into the air. What was her last words?
It was totally incomprehensible, but it sounded like, tell him his little chipmunk will love him forever.
At this, Melchett howls, but very quickly says that it can't be helped and decides to go on with things.
He's perfectly fine.
However, without Georgina, he insists that the show can't go on, and she would certainly not have wanted a memorial show in her name. Not sure how he knows what she would have wanted.
Well, he's deciding.
Blackadder, however, says that he has found a replacement, and we cut from Melchett asking who she is to George asking the very same question in the trench.
Yes, there's not an answer at this stage.
Yeah, that's the problem. He hasn't got a clue. And as they ponder their position, in walks Bob for a shower. And he claims that they are in what type of situation?
Well, it's a sticky situation.
How sticky?
It's stickier, or the stickiest situation since Sticky the stick insect got stuck in a sticky bun.
Baldric enters. He's dressed in women's clothes and claims that this is his cunning plan.
He doesn't want to be a drag act, he just wants to marry Melchett, I think.
Yeah. He is the other woman and will marry the general. He will be a member of the aristocracy and he will have to be referred to as Milady in the future. Now, Blackadder reminds him at this point of his anti-establishment views. How does Baldric respond?
He's going to bring down the system from within like a frozen horse.
Blackadder, however, is having none of it.
It's the worst plan since Abraham Lincoln said, "Oh, I'm sick of kicking around the house tonight. Let's go take in a show." For a start, General Melchett is in mourning for the woman of his dreams. He's unlikely to be in the mood to marry a two-legged badger wrapped in a curtain. Secondly, we are looking for a great entertainer. And you're the worst entertainer since St. Paul the Evangelist toured Palestine with his trampoline act. Now we'll have to find somebody else.
What about Corporal Cartwright, sir?
Corporal Cartwright looks like an orangutan. I've heard of the bearded lady, but the all-over body hair lady, frankly, just isn't on.
Willis?
Too short.
Petheridge?
Too old.
Taplow?
Too dead. Oh, this is hopeless. There just isn't anyone.
Goodbye, goodbye, wipe the tear, baby dear, from your eye.
What am I doing, Bob?
Sir?
Still, what a brilliant idea! Bob, can you think of anyone who could be our leading lady?
We once again fast forward to the end of the show, and this time it's been an even greater success.
Yes, Bob comes off to applause equal to Georgina's at least, and everything seems perfect as Blackadder orders George and Baldric to pack for London.
Baldric's very excited, not just for himself, but for his slug, who he's now named.
What's his name?
Graham.
Good name for a slug.
Why not?
However, a smug Darling enters, followed by Melchett, who is enraged that the memory of Georgina could be disgraced by the show's acts.
Yes, Melchett has completely misunderstood all the acts, and this time not in a good way.
Explain.
Well, he's annoyed that the three twerps are a twerp short. He doesn't understand why the slug balancer is impersonating Buster Keaton. And he hated the drag act at the end.
Yes, I think he calls that the turd in the water pipe.
Yes, it's revolting, he says.
I think I might have misheard this. Does he say Bob Parker?
Yes, because Bob called herself Parker. Parker the driver, she said when she first came in.
But her name's Parkhurst. I'm not sure if that's a continuity error.
When was she called Parkhurst?
Throughout certainly in the next episode she is.
Who knows?
I mean, unless it could be saying Parkhurst, but quite fast.
Yeah, let's go with that. But Darling is delighted.
Yeah, of course he is.
Literally rips up the plane tickets in front of Blackadder's face, leaving him to question how they're going to boost the men's morale.
But Melchett has some news for him. The Americans have now joined the war, and this will help with morale because they are bringing with them the largest collection of Chaplin movies in existence.
Not only that, they've received a personal telegram from Mr. Chaplin himself.
What does that read?
Twice nightly screening of my films in trenches, excellent idea, stop. But must insist E. Blackadder be projectionist. Oh, P.S. Don't let him ever. Stop.
And the episode ends with Blackadder offering Darling a licorice allsop.
Yes, which he enjoys.
I'm sure he does.
Poor Graham.
He's dead anyway.
Yes, he's more dead now.
There we have it.
That's good.
Yeah, it was good.
I enjoyed it. Do you have a favourite line?
Yes, I did. It was the stick insect line.
I think my favourite was the first telegram, the one that Blackadder sent to Chaplin.
Yeah. Do you have it again? I don't think we mentioned it in full.
I think I did. Well, anyway, it said, Mr. C. Chaplin, Senate Studios, Hollywood, California, stop. Have discovered only person in the world less funny than you, stop. Name Baldric, stop. Yours, E. Blackadder, stop. Oh, a bit of PS. Please, 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 stop.
Any trivia for us this week?
I don't.
Okay, I've got some.
There you go.
I'll run through the production information first. The 12th of October 1989 was the original broadcast date. We didn't have any guest stars that we haven't already discussed. I think, in fact, only Gabrielle Glaister, as Bob appeared this week, and we've chatted about her in Bells. So let's use this opportunity to have a quick chat about Rowan Atkinson.
Why not?
Born in 1955, you may know him from Johnny English, Mr. Bean, Maigret, Scooby-Doo, The Thin Blue Line, The Lion King, Hot Shots Part 2, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, The Tall Guy, Never Say Never Again, or Not the 9 O'Clock News.
Or Love Actually.
Was he in that, yeah?
Yeah.
Been in lots of things.
He's been, popular.
He is a lover of cars and car racing, and he writes for Car Magazine.
And there's a repeated internet meme saying he's died in a car accident. It keeps coming up every 2 years.
I think he's crashed like a McLaren F1, things like that before. He also has an HGV licence.
Why not?
He was 2 years below Tony Blair at school and was a guest at both Charles and Camilla's wedding and Kate and Williams.
Family friend.
Awarded a CBE in 2013 and met Richard Curtis while studying at Oxford.
Yeah, I think I remember reading in one of, Stephen Fry's books about how intimidated they all were when they went up to the Edinburgh Fringe and from Cambridge to see Rowan Atkinson, obviously up from Oxford, performing his show, and he seemed to be just so talented to all of them at that time.
Yeah, I think at that time he was a bigger star. He had progressed in his career more, so he was more experienced. His stand-up's very good as well. I think you can quite a lot of that on YouTube.
He's quite clever. I think that helps.
He's very clever.
Yeah.
In terms of any other trivia, what do we have? Okay, Charlie Chaplin was criticised for not enlisting during the First World War, but instead raised funds for war bonds. I think that's fair enough. I can't see him as being a great soldier. It's probably a better use of his talents to put it towards fundraising.
It's probably fair.
The "I'll be back to get you" line was a reference to Rupert Brooke's war poem Soldier. I think it was the opening line. And in real life, Russia did not leave the war until a year after America entered.
Right. Fair enough.
Next time, we've got a private plane.
See you folk in a couple of weeks for that then.
We will do.
Yeah, cheerio.
Take it easy.